are sent to the Board of Education members weekly as information items. Each member has the ability to request topics to be discussed in committee meetings as needed. This meeting is also being live streamed, and the information was posted on the district website. Public notice pursuant to the Open Public Meetings Act. Public notice of this meeting has been given by the board secretary in the following manner: posting written notice on the official bulletin board of the Voorhees Township Public Schools Administrative Building on August 8th, sending written notice to the Prairie Post on August 8th, filing written notice to the clerk of Voorhees Township on August 8th. Would you please rise to salute the flag? Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Ms. Galliano? Here. Dr. Levy? Here. Mr. Nelson?
Here.
Mr. Snoop?
Here.
Mrs. Van Auken? Here. Mrs. Watson?
Here.
Mr. Carr?
Here.
Mrs. Wallace?
Here. At this time, could I have a motion to approve adjourning to executive session?
Second.
Be it resolved that pursuant to Section 8 of the Open Public Meetings Act, the public shall be excluded from that portion of the meeting involving discussion of board vacancy. Further resolved that the discussion of such matter in executive session can be disclosed to the public at such time as the board takes formal action.
Sure, well, we will be back. We're going to be going to executive session. We're going to have a process by which we meet the candidates for the vacant board position, and no action will be taken until we come back out in front of the public. Thank you.
At this time, we're going to have a deliberations and nominations for the board vacancy.
We were just in executive session. We had 6 wonderful candidates that were interviewed, and now we are in the public portion with the, there will be a motion, and there will be someone who, or more than one candidate that might be nominated, and then there'll be some deliberation, and then the board will vote as to who will be the ninth member to fill the vacancy that we have this evening.
Do we have any nominations?
I'd like to nominate Mr. Scott Paul.
Second.
Nominate Jason Joyce.
Second.
Any others? This time I'm going to take a vote unless anybody has anything to say.
I would just like to say, thank you. You guys made this really hard for us. We have some phenomenal candidates. We feel very lucky to have so many people be interested in, helping us and serving the community. So I just want to say thank you.
I was very impressed with the candidates who brought their educational experience and also professional experience and their desire to really perform civic duty to the board. I don't think we could have asked for 6 candidates who had a sincere desire to sit on this board, more so than the candidates here. So thank you.
Ms. Galliano,
Mr. Cole.
Dr. Levy,
Mr. Bryce.
Mr. Nelson,
Mr. Paul.
Mr. Schmooze,
Mr. Paul.
Mrs. Van Auken,
Mr. Paul.
Mrs. Watson,
See, this is hard, sorry. Mr. Bryce.
Mr. Park,
Mr. Paul.
Mrs. Wallace.
I agree with Monica, this was a very difficult decision. Everybody was very qualified, very prepared. But I am going to go with Mr. Paul.
A vote of 6-2, Mr. Fall.
It might be Dr. Falk, so don't be offended, but you're on, okay? Yes.
You'll be called a lot worse. trust
If you
me.
let me know.
Sure.
Yes, so congratulations, sir. There is a background check that we sworn in officially at the next meeting.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Okay. Welcome to the team.
Could I have a motion to approve the minutes of the meeting of August 26th, please?
Second.
Ms. Galliano,
Yes.
Dr. Levy,
Yes.
Mr. Nelson,
Yes.
Mr. Schmooze,
Yes.
Mrs. Van Auken,
Yes.
Mrs. Watson,
Yes.
Mr. Park,
Yes.
Mrs. Wallace.
Yes. There are fire drills and safety drills that have been shown on attachment A to this evening's agenda. There are no communications, board secretary report.
Good evening. I'd like to go over a few topics, starting with food services and meal delivery. We started doing our meal distribution on Wednesday, September 9th. Well, I should say restarted it. We did it originally between March and June. We restarted on September 9th, and then every Wednesday, we distribute meals at each of the 5 schools and 3 community locations. We have a form that the people fill, that the parents fill out every Monday, a Google form requesting the meals, and then our bus companies show up here and they take all the meals out to the location. Last week, we distributed meals to 374 students, and today we had a record high from March till now of 394. So that's pretty exciting, and it's a team effort. It's really the cafeteria staff, the maintenance staff, the transportation staff, and some business office staff comes out too. The next thing is the transportation. I wanted to say we had a really good start to the school year. It took a lot of planning and coordination with a hybrid model to keep our count on each bus under the number that we were shooting for. It was a team effort by our new transportation coordinator, Vicki Zakowski, and a business office clerk, Tanya Weinstock. They worked hand in hand to make sure it was smooth. You might have noticed when you walked into the building that you walked by a thermographic scanner. When we had our last board meeting, we were telling you about the things that were still en route coming here. Thermographics, well, the first week of school, we used the handheld thermometers, and then thermographic scanners arrived on September 10th. They were up and running thanks to the maintenance department and the IT department. on September 16th and used during the second week of school, and all of you got to participate in that today. I wanted to say that, again, it was a joint effort by the two departments. Mark McNone worked nights and ran cable, and the IT department programmed the equipment in order to get it up and running. In the last meeting, we also talked about our UV lighting. As you know, our plans to install UV lighting in all the classrooms, but that was also back ordered. So we also had ordered some mobile units. So we had 8 mobile units that were supposed to supplement the ceiling units. Since that was back ordered, the company said, well, we will lend you some smaller tabletop units. So on Labor Day, Mark McNone drove all the way up to Compton Plains, picked up 11 units, and then 4 more were supposed to arrive, I think, the next day, and 3 of them were broken. So what happened was he and the rest of the maintenance and custodians split up their time, and they started at 4:30 in the afternoon, disinfecting every room. And he worked the night shift. I don't know who else was with him, but he worked the night shift from 11 to 7:30 in order for every room to be covered. So again, commendable what they did to pull this off. I just can't say enough about the maintenance crew. The portable units, the portable units arrived on Monday of this week. They're 6 feet, so now we don't have to work nights, so nobody has to work the 11 to 7 shift. But now we can cover each room and disinfect each room with the tabletop units and the 8 6-foot units. The permanent units for the lighting fixtures will arrive on Monday, and again, school is closed on Monday, but our maintenance guys will be here with the contractors to oversee putting them in. So again, above and beyond, I just want to thank them so much. We also talked about the rooftop units, rooftop HVAC units. 13 more rooftop units had the induct purifiers installed this past week. We are still waiting on the balance of the order for the rooftop induct purifiers. The Halo lead purifiers for the above ceiling units were completed a couple of weeks ago, and we have done alternate methods when that was available too. We mentioned that we put UV systems in our ventilation, I should say, for the interior classrooms, and we also have installed some air purifiers for those classrooms since they didn't have windows and the rooftop units weren't available yet. Another thing that hit our maintenance department is our media center at VMS had a leak that was coming through the concrete slab floor, and that wet the carpet and caused some mold to appear. Right away, when we were notified of it, the next day we had our air quality company come out, do testing, and they told us how to remediate it. So a lot of things had to be stripped out of there, and we had our insurance adjuster was in the next day, and he told us what needed to be done as well. So we expect to get most of that replaced by insurance proceeds. But we also, if you notice, like a lot of floors have changed, so this floor was done last year. We have a process of taking out this carpet and putting in hard surface flooring. We decided that now would be the time to do that in the media center. Rather than just replace the floor in the office and storage room, we felt that we should do the whole thing. That is in our budget, in our maintenance budget, to do that over time. So overall, like I said, I'd like to have a special thank you to Clark and Mark, the business office, the IT department, during this COVID-19. The business department did a lot of purchasing. They're kind of behind the scenes, but they did a lot of purchasing and implementation. And I'd like to say that all of them use a think tank approach because we've thrown a lot of curveballs and everybody just gets together and says, how can we fix this? How do we address this? We made promises, we want to come through, and they get it done every time. So I can't say enough about everybody, teamwork. It's really great to see in motion. So thank you. Thank you to all my staff too. I couldn't do it without you. Thank you.
Thank you, Helen. I'm going to pick up just a little bit where she left off and start by just celebrating the students, how amazing it was to see our students back actively learning, either remote or in person. It's just really good to see the kids, and they really deserve a lot of credit because I feel like they adapt quickly, they are resilient, and they bring a positive attitude to everything that they do. And I just know how much I've appreciated having them back around and having them in the buildings, as well as when I get to sit in on the meets and see it from the remote point of view as well. Next, I want to really give the recognition to all of the staff members in this district who have done a remarkable job making the best of a tough situation. Regardless of all the conversation and debate and discussion that led up to the start of the school year, everyone left that where it was and really put on their best face and really just have done a great job being ready for our kids. And I really want to thank them. Your effort and professionalism is appreciated and it is noticed. So, keep up the great work. The start of the school year, again, really good. That doesn't mean it's free from challenges and areas where we need to improve. So we will be continuing to focus on those areas where we can make changes and improve the experience for our students and help our teachers and our staff members become more comfortable and confident in using the technology and this hybrid approach. We understand it's very difficult. So again, that mindset though of how can we make this better for our students? How can we improve upon what we're doing? That is what I appreciate most from the staff members here, and I really look forward to working together to make these improvements. So thank you to everybody, to the parents, thank you for your patience. These are difficult times, and when I get an email, I absolutely don't mind. I appreciate that you're taking the time to express your concern, question, or comment. So please feel free to keep that coming. And I thank you for your support. And that concludes my report.
Ms. Galliano, could you please give the policy committee report?
Yes, policy committee met before we started the meeting, and we discussed the first reading of policies as well as the new way that we're going to be conducting, going to receive an agenda from Dr. Young. We need to review policies now with the small description, so we have a new way that we're implementing how the policy will review the policy.
At this time, we will have audience participation. While the board is limited in its ability to respond to the public on matters involving personnel, litigation, negotiations, and attorney-client privilege, the board will now hear comments from the public relating to items on the agenda for this board meeting. Comments are limited to 3 minutes. The board will not take action this evening. You will be notified at some later time by letter, electronic mail, telephone, or in the context of a later board meeting, any action the board does take. Please state your name and address if you have any comments, please.
So,
I do have several comments that have been emailed to me. Want me to read them now?
please do. Yep.
First comment is from Nicole Nicklaw, 29 Redstone Ridge, has 2 elementary-aged children in the Voorhees School District. I am writing to urge the board to please reinstate the full school day for students within the district. Our children are missing out on hours of instruction and are already falling so far behind. The teachers have provided students with a solid foundation for virtual study, including Google Classroom and all associated websites, and it is essential that we have the full amount of time for actual instruction each day. In addition, I respectfully request that the board allow families to choose whether to send their children to school 4 to 5 days per week. There are significant numbers of families who have chosen full remote study. This will allow those of us the option of sending our children full-time while maintaining distance in the classroom for those who are comfortable with in-class instruction or have children with learning disabilities or difficulties. Thank you for your consideration. Sincerely, Nicole Nicklaw and family. Next is from Ashley Carfano, 2nd grade teacher, 821 Cobble Creek Circle, Cherry Hill, New Jersey. Questions for the Board of Education. If a student lives in a household where there is a confirmed case of COVID-19, does that student and their entire hybrid cohort need to quarantine? Would the opposite cohort also quarantine if the teacher has been in contact with the other hybrid students? Also, it appears that given the current circumstances, if a hybrid student is in direct contact with an infected family member, that their classroom peers and families would not be notified of this information. Is this correct? Number two, if a class needs to quarantine because of a student and/or student's family member has a confirmed case of COVID-19, does the entire class take a 2-week hiatus on education, or is the teacher allowed to teach remotely for those 2 weeks since there will not be there to contract the virus? 3, before a potential vote on a full day schedule, can the board consider A, the negative effects of a maskless indoor lunch period and the difficulty in scheduling teachers to cover said lunches? B, the multiple trainings and webinars that we as teachers were directed to view that all stated to limit screen time for students as much as possible, and what it would mean to add 2 more hours to our remote students' days. And C, the fact that teachers use every minute between 1.25 and 3:45 to prep, plan, assign work across multiple websites and resources, grade dozens, hundreds of Google Classroom assignments per week, answer parent and student tech questions, collaborate with their grade level to lesson plan, learn new programs such as Kami and Note, practice our clear touch boards to work out any issues before doing anything for the students, etc. Before a vote on a full day schedule, I implore any member of the board to come into the schools and see just how much the teachers value that time at the end of the day, and how difficult it would be for many of us with families at home to have to do all of the above once they are home, many of whom have children with schoolwork and technical difficulties of their own. It is imperative to give us time to get used to this new normal and everything that comes with it, and not to go to a full day schedule after a mere 7 days with the students and 3 known COVID cases already as well. Is it possible to wait on this vote until after the first marking period? Next comment is from Rosemary DeBella, 16 Maybrook Avenue, Swedesboro, New Jersey. As a teacher at Voorhees Middle School, I feel as though I was tricked and lied to in order to come back to work. I am living with multiple sclerosis, and I've had several meetings with my doctor about whether or not it would be safe for me to return to teaching in person since I have a very compromised immune system and I am a high risk. I told my doctor the district's plan for reopening and all of the safety measures that were being taken. We both decided based on that information that I could most likely return to work safely. I was shocked when school started, and I abruptly found that there were nothing touchless in any of the staff bathrooms in the building. Only the students' bathrooms have 1 touchless toilet, 1 touchless sink, and 1 touchless soap dispenser. I guess I assumed when the district said they were installing touchless equipment in the bathrooms that it was meant for staff too. However, when I asked about it last week, I was informed that no, nothing was being done in the staff bathrooms. Additionally, the staff is expected to use a paper sign-in sheet and a pen that every single staff member touches in order to sign in for the day. I asked if this would be changing to a digital sign-in sheet and was told no. So again, students cannot share anything, but every single staff member is expected to flip through the same paper sign-in sheet and sign in each day. The irony is baffling. Another example is as follows. For the cohorts, we have to have different seats for students. Teachers make sure nothing is shared, students cannot switch seats or anything. However, when teachers have to attend weekly meetings, we are expected to sit at the student's desk, same desk that no other student is permitted to sit at. This makes me feel as though the health and well-being of the teachers is being completely disregarded. I feel underappreciated and not valued as a teacher, which may possibly be the saddest part of all of this. I do believe that schools need to be open. However, I just feel as though there was a lot of talk and not a lot of follow through in the buildings. I spend countless hours every night after school trying to develop meaningful, engaging lessons that both in-person and remote students will greatly benefit from. The thing I depend on most, as well as my family, is my health, and it is undervalued. I now have to discuss with my doctor my medical condition and the conditions of the schools to determine if, in fact, it's a safe place for me to be, since the original information I presented to him was not really the truth of the situation. All of this, along with the recently found mold in the building, makes me question everyone's safety. The next comment is from Lisa Leaf, 14 Eustis Road, Marlton, New Jersey. I would like to thank Shari Kaufman and Denise Stetcher for their technology support at the middle school. Diane Manischel, I live at 6 White Court. Good evening, Dr. Gentile, Dr. Young, and board members. First, I would like to say that my statement does not apply to everyone in the group being mentioned. I have been a resident for almost 40 years and had my own 2 children, had very positive experiences in the Voorhees School District. When I started working in the district, I was so impressed with the partnership that the staff shared with the superintendent and board. While the children have always been, and always should, be the main priority, back then, teachers also mattered. It saddens me that such an impactful relationship does not seem to exist any longer. Just the fact that we are not even allowed the courtesy to speak at this meeting is evidence of that. Under Mr. Brosel and his board, that would not have happened. They were always supportive and willing to trust. They treated everyone, including the teachers, with respect, and they always had ours. Their efforts are what made Voorhees a place where people wanted to move because of this outstanding school system. It is disheartening for me to say, but I doubt that is true now. I wish that you, Dr. Gentile and Dr. Young, as well as the board members, would visit the schools to see the reality of the situation. While many of us had our concerns about coming back into the classroom, we did so for the benefit of our students. However, we were given assurances that certain measures had been taken for the safety of everyone, and unfortunately, that did not turn out to be entirely true. We are all still trying to find those touchless bathrooms that we were told would be in place, and our PPE consists of a package of wipes, one hand sanitizer, and a shield that I can't even wear. As for the children's education, they are being shortchanged. By the time we wait to travel to the next classroom, wipe down and sign in on a laptop and desktop and take attendance, we may have 2/3 of the period left to teach. That's the best scenario. Usually there are glitches that take away even more instruction time. Today I taught from home, and it was the first day that I was able to actually teach for the full period because everything was set up already and ready to go. Ideally, we would all prefer to be in the class, but only with all of the necessary safety precautions as well as time to actually teach. I hope that we will be able to come together in this challenging time and build a relationship that will benefit all of us, most importantly, our deserving children. Thank you for your time. Michelle Nacito, 38 Simsbury Drive, Voorhees, New Jersey. Can you please update us on the mold remediation in the library and confirm when the remediation and the reconstruction of the library that was necessary because of the mold issue will be completed? Michelle Nacito, 38 Simsbury Drive, Voorhees, New Jersey. Can someone from the board please answer as to why they went into executive session first and kept the public waiting? Unfortunately, that could be taken as an attempt to have the public leave the meeting before it actually begins. Was that the intent? Who advised the board to handle the executive session prior to the agenda items rather than at the end? The board could have met after public comment and agenda items and then came back for any action that needed to be taken, as we have done in the past. This is very curious. Lauren Carruthers, 51 Beacon Drive, Mount Laurel, New Jersey, teacher at Osage. In regards to moving to a full-day schedule, I am concerned that the parents in my class will have a difficult time. My class has still not received a device to use for schoolwork. They are currently using their parents' devices, parents' work devices, or cell phones. They have been so wonderful and even purchased hand soap since we don't have any in our classroom. I am grateful for the early dismissal to collaborate with colleagues and plan for our remote learners' needs as well as our hybrid students. I also use that time to help families with technical issues that arise. Thank you for your time. Julie Kedover, 9 Fairway Drive, Voorhees, New Jersey. On July 1st, Mrs. Wallace posted on social media the following: so now fined for not speaking with contact tracing. That's a violation of privacy. Next thing you know, we're all going to have chips implanted in us. Now, I have 2 confirmed cases of coronavirus in the Voorhees schools, where contact tracing will supposedly be employed as the mechanism to contain these cases. How are we, the public, supposed to trust the board to discharge its duties when the president's views are in direct conflict with those duties? What assurances can you provide that Mrs. Wallace's conspiracy theories and views about this pandemic being a hoax, which she has unapologetically shared repeatedly on social media on multiple pages since March, will not interfere with the board and the school administration's responsibility to keep the students, teachers, staff, and their family members as safe as possible? There are no more comments.
Okay, at this time, it's board comments.
We have one here.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Hi. Can I stand or would you like me sitting? Doesn't matter. Hi, I'm a physical education and health teacher at Signal Hill School. My name is Leanne Bingley. I am a resident of Cinnaminson, New Jersey at 1405 Morgan Avenue. Proud to be an employee here for about 30 years in this district. It's been the most amazing district to work for. Between the board members, the administration, the parents, the students, and the staff. It's been a delight. I am very concerned as a teacher, and after our staff meeting, we had our emergency staff meeting today, after we were told about a person in our building who had tested positive. So obviously we had received the letter around 12:05 or 12:03, I believe. And then our principal had an emergency meeting for our staff to get together to discuss this further. We were assured in the beginning that they were taking proper precautions as far as making sure that everyone was contacted who was in and exposed to this individual. However, upon learning the things at the meeting and upon major deductions upon teachers, there have been many of us who slipped through that crack, and we were not contacted. Perhaps we will be, but now this is pushing us into tomorrow. So there will be several of us going in tomorrow to Signal Hill School to teach the children. We will be going in, and we're curious, will we be contacted within that 24-hour window? Some of us think that we haven't been contacted yet, and that's a problem. There's many of us, actually, more than just one, more than just two. There are people going in and out of classrooms. You have specialists just for one. I am one of those people. We literally go in and out of those classrooms. We see hundreds of children every week. We come in contact with all of the staff members and the students who are coming in live that we teach, hundreds of them each week. They are coming to us, we are going to them, we are in their rooms, tracing people. I'm just not sure how that's effective, as well as the rest of the people in the staff. Together as teachers of Signal Hill, we've come up with a letter. It is 9 pages. There's so much on here for me to talk about it in 3 minutes, not even mentioning what has happened today. We have issues with the safety equipment that has been provided with us. For example, the scanners have taken the temperatures. Ours have been off a lot. They range from very weird numbers, from 97 degrees all the way to 94 degrees when students walk past them and are given the normal temperature command. We are worried a lot about that stuff, not only the fact that we are now being asked to go possibly into full, bringing in kids more often, and the screen time that some of our kids are gonna have who are home fully remote for 7 hours, some of them. We have a lot.
I'm sorry, I have to interrupt you. We are at the end of the 3 minutes. If you want to provide that to Dr. Dentro.
Be happy to talk.
Thank you so much. There are many concerns, and I'm representing, we have all signed, there's about 50 teachers.
Yeah, please stick around.
I
Thank you.
appreciate it.
Hi, I'm Danielle Riggs. I am a teacher at Signal Hill. I live at 6 Cedar Cross Road in Ginsborough. First and foremost, I want to thank the Jays in our building. Jamie Patullo, not even a full year and a half maybe, and Joey Quintana, wherever Clark is. I salute you and our whole maintenance crew. Because between Bruce and his team and the maintenance team, they have done everything in their power to get us ready for school. I'm 51 years old. I walked into this district at age 22. I couldn't have been prouder, and to this day, I work harder than I ever have. I have so much left in me. Things look really great on paper. So for example, we were promised clear touch board training. Now, I've been here almost as long as Bruce, maybe the same amount of time. I remember learning Microsoft Publisher, from simple keyboarding so now we're in clear touch. We got rid of all the smart words that we all had fine. We go to training. We're using Apple iPads, expecting our kids to be experts in Google Classroom. To sit in a Clearboard training, to be told by professionals, not Jamie Patullo, but the people that work for Clearboard, this is the Android operating system. So they weren't even prepared to teach us. So then what happens? We get more PD, more time away from Jamie, more time away from us. When I tell you your teachers are working like they've never worked before. I have teachers crying. I have teachers who are now taking medication. And I'm right behind my dear friend friend Tracy Redford, we've been there. We can't help these people because we're drowning. Please, I implore you, I said this at the last meeting, one of you go through a day as a hybrid student and as a remote student. One of you stand next to a teacher all day. Because if we're teaching and we are looking at our remote kids, we feel like we're neglecting the kids that are there. Because we're looking at hands that are raised. And yes, there are all these great strategies and there are all these great things that are said. But your teachers, ask them how they're feeling. Not the brand new teachers who are going to say, everything's great, because they're not tenured. Ask the people that have been here and want to be here and want to make this work and miss our kids. We all want them here, but we don't feel safe. And it's not working.
I'm sorry, I did stop you there. Thank you for your comments. Any further comments?
Joseph Petitcomon. Two comments. One, I wanted to thank our parent group. A bunch of parents got together right before school started and provided a catered lunch for all staff. They took it upon themselves, and it was something that wasn't mentioned, and it was very well appreciated. My second question was just going to be, before you vote on the policies, will there be a chance to ask questions on that, just at how they've changed? Thank you.
To answer your question, now is the time for questions because we're voting on that next.
Okay, so my question, I have a couple questions. I noticed that the set of two, those are just adjusting the policies that are already currently existing.
Diane, do you want to?
Are you asking the one for second read?
Well, let's go to the first read one. Those are already existing policies, or just amending them? Like,
They were already voted on the
Yeah, the
last
first
time
two are voted on.
originally, and now this is the second reading.
no, what I'm asking is on item 2 of policy,
Okay,
all of those, are those existing
yes.
policies
every one
or
of
just
them-
amending them?
Correct, all of them are existing policies that have been changed, and there haven't been major.
Okay, I was just asking, I checked most of them.
Yep.
And I wasn't sure if there was any detail on what the full-time instruction was, like for item number, policy 1, B 1648.03, what that would look like, full day. So the second one under the one that you're passing on, voting on tonight, was there a description of what the full day would look like?
Oh, no. It was just talking about making sure that kids wear masks, that the transportation piece, is that what you're asking?
Now it says 1648.03.
One B.
Yeah, restart recovery plan full. I just wasn't sure what the full-time instruction would look like if there was a.
It just meant, I think that's like, it's in-person instruction. So they called it full-time instruction, but they mean in person.
Does that mean?
It's no different than what's in our plan, if that's
Is
what
that-
you're asking. There are no changes being implemented tonight.
It doesn't talk about a schedule at all.
Thank you.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
That's down the road.
Any other questions? Comments?
First of all, I would really like to thank all the teachers, because I know this is like super hard for everyone. I think the teachers, most of them understand that it's really hard for the parents, because we're all really in this together, as a group, and before it is, and principals are there, and everyone is really. However, we collaboratively working together to try to make sense of this. I know it's a really hard road that we're walking down. I can say that I work in a medical practice, although I'm not a nurse or a doctor or anything like that, but I work in a facility where patients come in and out of our office, and I don't have touchless sinks, I don't have touchless toilets, I have to wash my hands, I have to sanitize both my steps, I will lay my desk down. I have to take my temperature on and go in and out of rooms. I have to take all of these precautions, and I understand with, having children involved, it takes it up a notch. but I am around patients all day long, as well, and I still have to go to the line.
Oh, we can go,
Get on the line, it's different for teachers.
have a meeting right after.
You know, not able to adapt to the things that are being given to them. I can't imagine Voorhees is on purpose, not installing touchless sinks and touchless rooms and all of these things. I hope that they're coming down the road. In the meantime, I can't imagine that some supplies, PPE, the appropriate PPE isn't being supplied to make the best of that situation. As I've said before, virtual board of ed meetings, I definitely think teachers are essential workers by far. I'm just looking at my phone, I apologize. The other thing I wanted to say is for students that normally require one-on-one assistance in the school and that they are learning remotely, I think it's ludicrous that we are adhering to part-time IA schedules to supplement and support these children, which needed for the entire remote day. I have personal experience with it. And being offered an aid for 2 hours a day when there is a 4.5 hour remote learning day, and my child is capable of working independently. So I think that the employees, the teachers, the faculties, and the entire school system should be adapted to children instead of vice versa.
I'm sorry, I'm interrupting. That can't work. I already know. Hi, Linda Polillo, 17 Canyon Drive in Berlin. I'm going into my 27th year teaching, 20 years here and 7 at a couple colleges. I speak for a lot of people in this district who are the only people in their classroom, no support staff, IAs, or anything throughout the day. It presents a nearly impossible situation with the remote learning and the students that are in front of me. I'm trying, this is a reality that makes it that I cannot pay adequate attention to either the group on my laptop or the kids that are in front of me. I apologize several times a day to the kids that are in front of me, telling them that I feel like I'm ignoring them. But I've got people calling my name from the laptop. This doesn't work, this won't download, I don't know where to find this. Mrs. Fully-Love, I need help. I don't know how to adequately address any of this. I've always prided myself on being able to help my students learn and make connections with them. Everything about this instructional model goes against everything that I value as a teacher. And I'm shocked it's happening here in our district. A much smarter approach that was talked in several meetings over the summer would have been to match up teachers who wanted to be fully remote with students who were fully remote. Were that to have happened, I could have combined my 2 cohorts and had 12 students come to school 4 days a week. That sounds like a much better idea. Instead, like I said, I'm not helping anybody. This may work at the high school level. The developmental age of high schoolers is well documented to be very different than elementary school students. As I said, 27 years, I feel like you're one. I've never been this upset about this profession. I've never been this stressed or anxious. And I feel like I'm on a sinking ship. Thank you.
Any other comments? Me, Martha, 14 Redstone Ridge. I want to piggyback on what Ms. Drake said, who was one of my son's fifth grade teachers, and Ms. Fully-Love, who we also had. He is now in 8th grade. He has fabulous teachers that we've already had with my daughters who are in high school. The first day of hybrid learning for him, and the second day, he got in the car and he said, "My teacher ignored me. I am sitting in a classroom and my teacher is ignoring me." He's like, "I know she's not doing it on purpose." He said, "But she is ignoring me." I said, "I understand, buddy." I gave an idea in June to Dr. Young. I also offered, my husband offered IT support free of charge and help to try and make what these teachers are talking about. I said, you need to put 4th grade teachers, you need to get the schools on level to have
remote teacher for every grade. I don't care if my kid is being taught by an Osage teacher because we have fantastic teachers in my kids in Signal Hill, and I'm fully remote. Let the kids who are remote be taught by a specific remote teacher, so they are being paid attention to. And the kids who are sitting in front of Mrs. Briggs, Miss Mann, Miss Fully Love, Miss Lorella, let them be taught by the teacher in the classroom. Teachers cannot split their time. And in the middle school, they get 30 minutes of instruction, if that, because the teachers have to sign off, sign in, sign off, move classes, and the whole 9 yards. My kids may be getting 15 minutes of instruction. Science, 8th grade, Algebra 1, the kid's in Algebra 1. He has Miss Lee, she's amazing, but she gets to teach him for 15 minutes a day, 4 days a week. That kid is getting 1 hour of algebra a week. So, if you guys go to a full day model, if you all need to rethink how this is working. Again, my husband has offered his services, he works in healthcare, he has the same exact problem with remote and hybrid, and he had to find a way to plan it and fix it. So, I offered in June to have someone come in and help, and no one took the offer. So, as you can tell from your teachers, your kids are not getting the education. We are circling the drain, and our kids are the ones who are suffering. So please rethink the model. The teachers want to do it. The teachers want to teach the kids. They're not here because they want to get paid, and they weren't lay on the beach in March because they wanted to lay on the beach. They want to teach their kids. They're teachers because they love the kids. So it's time for them to get to work, to let them work, and to figure out how to make it work. And especially, and whoever the teacher was and said she had a mess, and she needs to be home remote, let her teach those remote kids.
I'm sorry, I have to interrupt you. We're at 3 minutes. Any other questions or comments? At this time, we're gonna go to board comments. I would like to make a comment to our maintenance staff who's worked tirelessly implementing these new safety measures, getting all of our classrooms cleaned, even though we were filling in different equipment. Our IT department, Bruce Taylor, making this transition happen. And I want to thank our staff, and I commend them for learning and implementing a whole new way of teaching, which is very difficult for everyone. I have children in the school as well. So I just want to commend all of you and thank you for working your hardest to get us back on track. Any other comments?
I'd like to make a comment. Sitting up here, I'm very concerned about everything that everybody's saying out here. It's difficult times. I mean, this is something we've never seen before. And hopefully it gets under control, we never see it again. But at the moment, we had voted just last month, we were hybrid. And I still hear a lot of concerns about PPE equipment, a lot of concerns about the way the classrooms are being run. And so I would like to make 2 motions. I can combine it or I can make separate motions. So one motion would be that some board members will be allowed to tour the schools and go through with the superintendent as well as the principal. I know that the board member had asked once before to do that and was denied access, so now we have to do it at full board. And the second motion would be that maybe, obviously not all the board members, because board members can come back and report to the rest of the board, but maybe you do have some board members go in and actually sit in a classroom for a day and just see what exactly, it's hard for us to just, imagine what's happening sitting here in front of everybody. So I'd like to make both those motions. I'd like to urge the board to approve that, and we'll work out the details of what we think of, to have people go to the school, number one, for a tour, and see the equipment and what we're talking about, and number two, the second motion to be able to sit in on a classroom, see what your experience is, so that we can experience it. Because at some point in time, we are going to be asked to vote for full-time day or 4-day a week or something, or change from what we're doing now to something else. And so I really think that this is.
If I said, I'd be happy to just voluntarily say.
No,
We
yeah,
can put that.
So I'm gonna make a motion.
I'll second.
I said,
Mine?
Combine
Just not.
One at a time, you're making, the first motion is to visit, to permit board members to visit.
First motion is to visit the schools.
Is there a second? Thank you. Well, I think John was your second.
And I'll second
Second.
you need a second part of that.
First vote, to visit the schools.
Ms. Galliano,
Yes.
Dr. Levy,
yes.
Mr. Nelson,
Yes.
Mr. Schmutz.
Yes.
Mrs. Van Auken,
Yes.
Mrs. Watson,
Yes.
Mr. Carp.
Before I vote, I make a comment. I just think when we go to the schools, we should have the proper people with us walking through the schools. Art, the principal, maybe the head of the PFA, walking with us so we're all on the same page. And I'm going to vote yes.
Mrs. Wallace.
Yes.
Second motion.
Second motion is that for some of us to be able to sit in a classroom for a day, whether it's a day or two, or and see for ourselves what's happening.
Is there a second?
A second.
Ms. Galliano,
Yes.
Dr. Levy,
Yes.
Mr. Nelson,
Yes.
Mr. Schmutz.
Yes.
Mrs. Van Auken,
Yes.
Mrs. Watson,
Yes.
Mr. Carp.
Once again, I'll say, I will volunteer my time. I will be available as many days as people need. Yes.
Mrs. Wallace.
Yes. Any other board comments? I have some comments on the upcoming items that we're voting on. I'd like to talk about before we get to them. I have a question on items under personnel. Item number 3, I'd like to understand what this item is for.
During the time when my previous assistant retired until now, that employee has been doing 2 different responsibilities, 2 different roles. It's just not clear for that time.
And item number 4, I'm assuming that's a typo, it's not 6,000, but 60,000?
Correct.
If I recall correctly, we discussed this item in a personnel meeting. And we specifically discussed, in order for us to make a change to this salary, it was either going to be combining 2 roles, or we needed to have an understanding as to all of the additional responsibilities she would have moving forward, so that we could justify what if I recall correctly, would be a 20% raise. Because I believe she's currently making $50,000. So I have not seen any of those documents that have delineated the additional responsibilities that would justify a 20% raise. Did I miss that? Was that provided to someone?
The only person that I spoke with was Rich as personnel chair, provided that information ahead of time. But there was some discussion about combining those 2 roles. And then I was advised not to do that, and just to have those stay delineated as an administrative assistant, the superintendent, administrative assistant, the assistant superintendent, based on the roles that both of those play. So to sort of, I guess, address the best I can your questions, I looked at first what's the market recognized as a fair salary for the superintendent's administrative assistant. So I surveyed other districts and found out what those assistant superintendents were making. That gave me some information in terms of what the value is of that position. And we advertised, interviewed people from inside and outside of the district. In the end, very impressed, the 2 finalists that were really the best in the entire bunch were internal candidates. But again, person that I'm recommending, I believe is the person that I need to be successful in this position. She brings the skill set, the abilities, and the knowledge to that position. In terms of what the position does, they assist my everyday work, which is caring for the entire district operations. So compared to what she's currently doing, she's working in the curriculum and instruction piece of the district operations. This is obviously going to entail more because we're going to be working together in all operations of the district, including curriculum instruction. So she's going to have responsibilities that are to support every part of my job in doing my job, which is overseeing the entire district operations. I looked at, again, what does that position pay? What's the value in the market? And that's how we ranged and came up with that recommended salary. I didn't want to punish somebody simply because they're coming from internal for a position that is seen as promotion. So I thought it was a fair compensation for the additional responsibility.
Well, but you're already giving her additional responsibility, additional stipend of $4,500.
That's a one-time payment for the time that she's already worked, doing both jobs, working extremely hard, many hours, and doing both jobs. That takes care of the time from when Ms. Wilson left until she takes over as my assistant full-time.
Listen, I don't doubt that she's qualified. I have a fundamental problem when our teachers are getting minuscule raises and they're going through what you just heard. And then we're going to pay administration a $10,000 plus a $4,500. So I would like to remove item number 3, and I would like to reduce the salary to item number 4 back down to $50,000.
Louis, you could vote against item 3.
If I vote against them, then she'll get paid nothing, right?
Well, no, that's on the agenda for later to vote, that's a 4 on personnel items.
The other part when I look at when I come up with a salary for a position is there a collective bargaining agreement that limits or influences what you can and can't pay somebody? The teachers are governed by their collective bargaining agreement. They don't, there's not a way to give them what's needed in the market, fair or otherwise. That's done as a collective group. This is an individual position with no collective bargaining government. I think it's fair within the range.
And your superintendent's asking for your support, you do not, I think the board does not have to.
Understood. I don't think.
Before you go on to the next one.
Yeah, I don't have any other questions.
I'm sorry, no. I just wanted to first make one thing clear. This is not about the individual. Okay? This is not about judgment of whether or not the individual. That's all up here. I think we're charged with the responsibility as a board from the taxpayers to look after our funds and set policies for the schools. I just think, I do agree to the extent that we should know what the individual was doing in one position, and then moving to another position, what her new responsibilities would be. It's not a question of is she responsible enough to do it. I don't think that's any board's concern. I think it's just to make sure we're guardians of the funds the best possible way. Am I correct?
But I have a comment. She's going from being the assistant in one department to the assistant of basically the entire school.
So she's going to keep those functions that she's currently doing
There's
now?
oversight responsibilities in all the departments. And so, yes, in a way, yes, there's additional responsibilities.
So Diane will be, I'm sorry, I shouldn't say
No, that's not what I said. I didn't say that she still doesn't need an assistant in her role. I'm saying that I need an assistant that can help me govern and oversee the operations of our district, which include curriculum and instruction.
I agree, definitely.
So this is the person, this is what I feel is a fair recommended salary based on her years of experience, her expertise, her knowledge, her background, her professionalism, and her proven record so far in terms of me being able to watch her over the last several months in particular, and over the last year since
If everybody's saying that it has nothing to do with the person, it has nothing to do with your ability. And I realize that they're changing roles, but I have a hard time giving somebody a 100% rate and a stipend at a time where people are losing their jobs, people are being furloughed, people are working under extreme conditions, and I just think that it's too high. And so, and the vote is whether we accept item 34 or whether we don't. We can't change it, and we can't increase it, decrease it, or blame it.
You can't amend the item, you can vote yea or nay.
Yea or nay, there's no amendment. So we can vote yes for it, or we can vote no for it.
I do have a question on the stipend. This is for services provided prior to the meeting, or whatever that.
Yes, right, my understanding.
It says, October 1st, and she takes the new position on November 1st.
Correct.
I know the number of that. The step.
based on, it was based on the line salary recommendation was going with. I did exact it was 65. That was the initial conversation.
No, you may say 65, there's no way I would know. So it's not even based upon the 60,000.
No, it's based on what I value of doing two jobs.
Okay, board comments.
Well, we're making comments, I have a question on number 5. I don't know if it's a typo or I'm reading it incorrectly. Basically, I'm saying the number goes down, is that correct?
Yeah, okay, so, okay, yeah.
I don't know. I just want to, no, I'm just asking. Did it go down or up?
Well, it says it goes down.
I know, that's what I'm asking.
Yes.
I just want to know if it's a typo or if that's correct.
It sounds like it's a correction. It sounds like it's a correction from the south.
Oh, that's right.
Oh, so it is, so it does
It's a
go.
correction. I
It's
think.
not a typo, it's a correct keyword,
Yeah,
yes.
just, that's fine. Okay, just didn't understand.
I can. Let me just make sure I know which one he is. I think I can. We have to, I just want to see it first. Number 28, yes. These things happened chronologically. So initially, Daniel Clark had asked to go down to part-time. So that was approved from September 9th through June. But since then, he's resigned. So that becomes a moot point through June because he has resigned as of September 30th. So he would be part-time then September 9th through September 30th.
So you're going to reduce your salary, then review the goal.
Pretty much, yeah.
Should it go from September 9th to September 30th, not June 30th?
Well, I think it's presented that way because that was the agreement at the time. I'm not sure how they present it normally, but that's how, Diane, can you answer to that?
Yeah, so when we originally approved it, it was for the contract year, September 1st.
You say you're board voted on it?
Yeah, right, on his original hire.
Why would it be under the voted on?
Probably because he went to half.
He went part-time, right?
So when everybody was renewed in June, he would have been renewed for the full year. And then he asked to go part-time, so he was reduced to half, it was like step 6 half. And since that time, he has resigned. So he's resigning effective September 30th.
But he's
So-
only working
So
part-time.
indirectly, he would be getting paid a prorated 14.3 for the time period of September 9th through September 30th.
Should we amend one, is that?
I think that 2 of them create that. two motions. See, people are usually, I think they usually are hired based on the term of the whole contract. And then, unfortunately, that would be fine.
I have a couple of comments. Dr. Dental, just to kind of fact check, we heard today that there's been 3 cases. My understanding is there's 2, but.
2.
Okay. I think at this time, it might be beneficial to clarify the process as we experience positive cases. What is our, quarantining of return to school, whether you're a student or a teacher?
Okay, so when we get a report of a positive case, the first thing I do is contact the Camden County Health Department. I make them aware of it. And they start helping us as the school district by advising what actions we need to take in terms of quarantine. They do, once we give them the name and contact information, they verify that it was indeed a positive case. They ask us for as much information as we can provide them based on, say, for these cases, the principal tells me, in this classroom, last time they were here was on this date. These were the other students that were in, who were not in, the other adults that were in, not in. The best of their ability, they help characterize what the relationship was in terms of their contact. Is it what they define as a close contact? That's defined on that chart. It's on the website, but close contact is being within the 6 feet for a sustained period of time greater than 10 minutes. And they'll ask things like, were they wearing face coverings while they were in there? Or were they without the face covering? So they ask for as much context as we can provide, and once you turn that information over to them, they do their investigations and their investigative work, and then they return back with recommendations on what we are to do, not to do.
Can I ask a point of clarification to that? My understanding is that at Signal Hill, the individual, there's a classroom, the person that had the virus was exposed to students. Students did not wear masks during break, whatever, lunch breaks, whatever we're calling it, for an extended period of time of more than 10 minutes. But none of those students in the classroom are going to be quarantined in either cohort, or the cohort that may have been in contact with the individual with the virus. Is that commonplace? Because I've heard of other schools in New Jersey, similar situation, and they've been quarantined for 14 days.
Every health department handles it the way they handle it. There are going to be some variations that I've learned. The understanding that I have with the staff member at Signal Hill was that the last contact was on Friday of last week. That the snack break, although the students were eating with masks off, they had their desk shields up, and the teacher was not within 6 feet of them. So they remained socially distanced. They did have their protective barrier of the desk shield, and according to the county health department, that didn't rise to the level of quarantine. They also, I guess, look at the last time that they were with someone and the amount of time they could buy. I'm not a medical doctor, I don't understand it, but they look at that as well in terms of making their decisions. That's I'm going by what the experts tell us at the health.
So my understanding is, I'm essentially interested in what's the return to school policy? And it sounds like we don't actually make that policy, it is up to the county health department.
Correct.
So I know at one point we discussed having negative test, having to have a negative test before returning to school.
Right now, what they're telling us is the negative test does not substitute for the day's quarantine.
Oh, for sure, right.
So
Quarantine, and then
if you have a staff member, for instance, that tests positive, and let's say in their home, they have a child as well, it's 10 days quarantine for the adult from the time that their symptoms subside and go away without the help of Motrin or any fever-reducing medications. And then from that point, after the 10 days for that adult, it's an additional 14 days for the close contact. So you're looking at almost 24 days in that type of scenario. Yeah, so it varies very much on the information that we get and that we provide, and that's where it's important for the building principals. We talked today in our administrative meeting about the importance of gathering as much detailed information as possible. And just because someone might have been around the person who tested positive, if the information that I have and relates to the county health department doesn't qualify them as a close contact, they would not be contacted or quarantined. That's going off of their direction. We certainly can question, and if there's additional information that I need, which maybe there is because I heard some things tonight that I'm going to follow up on. If there's additional information, I need to know. Based on what I was given and the county health department's recommendation, we did everything we were supposed to.
Are you including on that list the other teachers that they are coming in contact with in all common areas and special ed teachers that are coming in and out of the classroom and in contact with those students and siblings of any of the students that may be in the cohorts of those people? You are including all of those people?
Absolutely, in the consideration. Again, that's why we have the mandated face covering for all staff members, why we're practicing social distancing, why there's hand washing, hand sanitizing, and frequent, again, practicing good health and safety, because you never know when you're going to be with someone who may test positive. According to the county health department, again, as long as everyone's wearing their face coverings, they're not within that 6 feet distance for that same period of time without protection. They don't say everybody has to quarantine who might have been around them for a period of time. It has to be, that rise to that level of close contact.
And I have one more comment. Dr. Gentile, to go back to personnel number 4, you mentioned you did extensive research of where it fall in line for the salary. I'd like to know more specifics of your research. What districts did you look at in terms, for compensation?
Camden County, surrounding districts. I actually interviewed all of the counties and necessarily get all the responses I would like, but I had a range of anywhere from 45 to 71 based on experiences. 62, 60, 65, 65, 65, 59, and 71.
What were the experiences?
Years of experience for one, college degree, backgrounds, people around 7 to 10 years experience in a related position.
Dr. Gentile, is our school district under financial agency to the best of your knowledge?
No.
I do not. Financial agency, where we have to come in and say we need to make decisions based on credit salary.
And this salary is far below her predecessor.
That's exactly my point. I would just like to state that I would absolutely not support our board making any recommendation for a woman to be given a salary within our district that we would be paying a different amount for if we hired someone from outside the district, and it's clearly less money than we had paid for the prior person who held this position.
I agree. I would say for the previous person, we tripled the amount of money and she had, and continually receive raises. And what's we stated on here should be what you should give me. Unless there's some kind of financial hardship that we're going through in this township and our district that I'm not aware of, that we need this money, I don't see what this is about.
There is a historical precedent in this country for paying women less in the workplace. And we also see how that impacts them throughout the lives of their career, even if they start at a lower salary, that will follow them for the rest of their career. I don't support any of this discussion that we're having about this, given all of the things that we talked about, and I don't see anything happening in this district that would even come close to having us not approve numbers 3 or number 4. I certainly don't support not paying someone a stipend for a job that they've been doing from July 1st through October 31st.
I agree, especially a job to this caliber where you're expected, to maintain privacy information, personnel files, work with all these different departments, all these schools, all these administrators.
There's other things you can focus on this board.
Yeah,
It's actually kind of embarrassing, so.
part of our job is to actually be fiscally responsible, and this is not giving somebody a 20% raise when other people are not getting the same benefit. I actually take offense to the comments about not caring about women and women being paid equally, because that is not what this is about. We clearly said that it had nothing to do with the individual's qualifications. It's about being fiscally responsible. That's what this is about.
If we had hired someone from outside of the district, we would have paid that person more. That's correct.
Unfortunately, we asked for details and we didn't get that information. I
That's a
haven't seen
separate
any
issue,
actual
and I
reports.
fully support that. You should have looked at that, into that before we came here.
We didn't ask for that information. That's okay.
At this time, are we going to vote? We can't beat a dead horse.
I'm not kidding. It's not even about that.
Okay.
Thank you. First, I want to say, on a different note, not taking anything away from Mr. Del Rossi retiring, but I want to make a comment about Mr. Brandner's retiring. Both of my children had him, and just as a parent of the district, I'm going to miss him terribly. So I wish him well. So that's my comment. There's nothing against Mr. Del Rossi. And then I have one other comment, only because I don't understand it, just like I didn't understand that salary decrease. The quick claim that's in our packet. I don't understand, first of all, the location. I mean, if we're claiming a deed over the town for $1. Since the purpose of the deed is to remove the condition that the right is reserved to the Board of Education of the Township of Voorhees to use the above described premises as a polling place for annual or special election of said board. So, I looked and I tried to find out where this piece is, and
It's the VFW that was just torn down. On White Horse Road.
White Horse Road, the VFW.
is that, now,
It used to be a school.
okay, is that behind the car wash at,
Right on
Burton
White
Hill
Horse Road.
Road?
No, it's right on White Horse Road.
Right
Before
next
you
to,
get there.
Right near the
Sherwood building,
I'm sorry, where?
right next to the Sherwood building.
Right?
It's on your, if you're facing, it's on the left, well, it was on the left hand side.
Okay, and we are leaving it over to the town, what?
We're just releasing the condition of the fully replaced since there isn't a building yet.
Is it our property or the town's?
It's the town's property, but it's on their deed that we're allowed to hold elections there. So we're releasing that part of the deed.
When we originally transferred,
No,
I
I
transferred
just
to
didn't
that
understand.
condition, but we don't need that condition anymore.
Okay, I just didn't understand. I thought it was our property. This levy, I believe, is our property. We're giving a quick claim deed for $1. And so we're giving our property away for $1. I just didn't understand why.
We're just giving them the same property we gave them a long time ago without the condition.
It's like having an easement. You're allowed to go in there to vote. Okay, at this time, Dana, could you take policy numbers 1 through 2?
Yeah, make a motion to approve. Sorry. That was 1 and 2, please. Second?
Ms. Galliano?
Yes.
Dr. Levy?
Yes.
Mr. Nelson?
Yes.
Mr. Schmutz?
Yes.
Mrs. Van Auken?
Yes.
Mrs. Watson?
Yes.
Mr. Clark,
Yes.
Mrs. Wallace.
Yes. Mr. Nelson, would you take personnel items number 1 through 28, please?
Let's make a motion to approve item 128 on the agenda for the first time.
Second.
Ms. Galliano,
Yes.
Dr. Levy,
Yes.
Mr. Nelson,
No to items 3 and 4, unless whatever you want.
Mr. Smith,
No to item 4, yes on everything else.
Mrs. Van Auken,
Yes.
Mrs. Watson,
No to items 3 and 4. Oh, yes to everything else.
Mr. Clark,
Am I in my vote? Because there's so much discussion on that, just instead of voting to table those two,
We've already,
There's no motion
we've
to
already
table,
started.
so there's no motion, you're just voting on the motion.
then I'll vote no to 3 and 4, yes to everything.
Mrs. Wallace.
Yes.
Motion carries. I have 4 noes on 4 and 3 noes on, actually, if I have 4 noes on 4,
There's only 3 on 3. So
I
we're
have 4 noes on 4.
And the president, you
And
got it.
I'm sorry.
And the president's one of the, whatever she voted, it's.
I did, so we're tied because we're only 8 members.
Right, so I mean, you have a tie on number 4, so what does that mean?
The president is her, or,
Okay, alright, so both, everything passes then,
that's what, yes.
is that what you're saying?
We got 4 or more for each of them, yes.
Okay.
There's no further action. Ms. Watson, would you take new business items 1 through 6, please? Oh, I'm sorry. I'd like to make a motion to move new business items 1 through 6.
Ms. Galliano,
Yes.
Dr. Levy,
Yes.
Mr. Nelson,
Yes.
Mr. Smooth,
Yes.
Mrs. Van Auken,
Yes.
Mrs. Watson,
Yes.
Mr. Clark,
Yes.
Mrs. Wallace.
Yes. Our next meeting will be held October 28th, 2020 at 7:30 at the middle school. At this time, we have audience participation. While the board is limited in its ability to respond to public on matters involving personnel, litigation, negotiations, and attorney-client privilege, the board will now hear comments from the public. Comments are limited to 3 minutes. The board will take no action this evening. You will be notified at a later time by letter, electronic mail, telephone, or in the context of a later board meeting, any action the board does take. Any comments at this time?
I have one comment. Go ahead.
The only comment I have, I understand the schedules are, set up ahead of time. There's been a conflict 2 months in a row, between the planning board meeting regarding this method of having hearing approved being the same night as the Board of Education meeting, so being that, both, meetings involve the safety and education of our children, I would hope that those dates could be considered in the future to be on different dates so that parents have the ability to attend both meetings if they felt they wanted to. Thank you.
Sandy Rocco, 113 Bentwood Drive, Cherrytown, New Jersey. I have been a teacher in Voorhees for 24 years and have loved every minute. My concerns are for my kids and I have 2 comments. 1, what is the purpose of the 2 cohorts when there are students coming in 4 days a week? Doesn't that defeat their purpose? We are essentially mixing cohorts. 2, I volunteer my room so that the board members can see 10 kids and 2 teachers pretend to social distance.
Any other comments?
Just to cut them on. I guess my one question is, are we going to stick with the same format until restrictions are, will we always have the streaming part for board meetings?
No. It's up to the board, but for the comment portion,
we are probably leaning towards in-person for comments. Any other questions?
I just want to say thank you, Mr. Nelson, Mr. Carr, for your motion to come visit us at schools. I think you'll have a lot of teachers willing to show you what we do really well and what we're struggling with. So thank you for your time.
Any other questions?
So you just mentioned that you're only gonna possibly limit comments by people in person. So is, by the nature of the pandemic, which is spread by aerosol, someone who might be COVID positive cannot come to a meeting. So you might want to consider not limiting the population and the participation of an entire township who pays taxes to the school district to make comments. Luckily, I'm not COVID positive, and I can be here tonight, but there might be people who can't. So you might really seriously want to consider the legality of cutting off people's participation before you do that. Secondly, do we know when the rest of the iodine will be delivered and installed? I know you said, Ellen, 13 have been delivered so far. I think we're waiting on 36. Do you know when the rest of them will be delivered, according to an email Dr. Bennett we spoke, we're waiting for 36. When you're talking about ionizers, what, do you mean the rooftop?
For the rooftop ionizers, yes.
I'm not sure when they're coming yet. I mean, but we do have the alternate plan for dealing with those rooms.
Okay, and one other just comment, we keep touting the UV lighting, and yes, it does kill the germs, but it does not kill the aerosols. So we might also want to be very conscious of our wording on the UV lighting. Because a lot of times it really sounds like the district is touting it as a silver bullet of killing everything, and it does not kill the aerosols in the air. So you might want to, be more aware of how you're putting that out to parents to say that your kids are safe. The ionizers aren't on the roof yet, but we still have kids in the school.
Any other questions? Board comments?
I just want to say, like Bruce had said, we're not taking anything. Congratulations, Mr. Del Rossi. I am so saddened that Mr. Brimhurst is retiring. He taught my eldest, and I was 1 year away from him having my second. But I don't know if he's on, but I just want to say
He's listening.
thank you.
Oh, thank you if you're listening.
Your passion and enthusiasm and care for kids is so evident. And good luck.
I have a question, Scott, you still want to come on the board? I just wanted to make sure.
I'd like to, congratulate Department Ed on their retirement. Mr. Del Rossi, I believe my daughter Danielle had you, and she really lost having you as a teacher. And appreciate all that you've done for the district. You're one of the really good ones, and we always hate to see any teacher go, but I think you did a fantastic job over the years, and thank you for everything you did. Mr. B, we go back a long way. I think we met 2 of my children, Michael and Kristen. And you still come up at our dinner table when you're back at home. So, you had such a profound influence on my children, and I thank you for that. And I thank you for your service to the district. And you're a tremendous teacher and tremendous asset for us to have. So, to both Mark and Ed, I wish you nothing but the best in retirement. Lots of happiness, love, and health, and good luck to you. Thank you.
I just want to say, congratulations to Reinhardt, he greatly missed, he and my daughter Ella, and he was very, congratulations. First, I know that, he will definitely miss Mr. Reinhardt and his passion.
This time, Mr. Shanice, can you take finance numbers 1 through 8, please?
Yes, I would like to move items 1 through 9 under finance. Second.
Ms. Galiano?
Yeah.
Dr. Levy?
Yes.
Mr. Nelson?
Yes.
Mr. Schmooze?
Yes.
Mrs. Van Auken?
Yes.
Mrs. Watson? Mr. Carp?
Yes.
Mrs. Wallace? Mrs. Wallace?
Yes.
Okay. Could I have a motion at this time to move to executive session?
So
Be it resolved that pursuant to Section 8 of the Open Public Meetings Act, the public shall be excluded from that portion of the meeting involving discussion of personnel. Further resolved that the discussion of such matter in executive session can be disclosed to the public at such time as the board takes formal action. We will return to adjourn after executive session.
That's crazy.
No, I don't want to have to think about going back and doing it again.
Great.
Make the motion.
Motion to adjourn, please.